Welcome to Dean Court here on 96.1 FM and Dorset frequencies, where referee Mark Clattenburg, the authorities know this is a biggie because they've sent the country's best referee to take charge. It's definitely big. How big it is remains to be seen. We may be waiting till May to find out the answer. We've just got underway here at the Gold Sound Stadium, an absolutely packed house, cracking atmosphere. Teams to come in a second. Cherries, red and black stripes, black shorts, red socks, going from right to left towards the Ted McDougall stand. Derby all in white this evening as Forsyth crosses in, headed away by Elphick, up towards halfway, where it's picked up for the Cherries by Jan Kermigan over on the right-hand side. He's lost possession inside his own half. Martin lays it back towards halfway, and now a chance for Will Hughes on the attacking edge of the centre circle. Tom Ince, who looks like he started on the right of the Derby front three. Cherries have given it away again inside their own half. A rangy shot from Craig Forsyth is well wide. Let's give you the teams. Bournemouth unchanged from Saturday. Borich is the goalkeeper. Francis, Elphick, Cook and Daniels the defenders. Ritchie, Sermon, Arter and Pugh. Wilson and Kermigan up top. The bench, one change on there with Stanislas replacing Ranty. Pittman, Fraser, Ward, McDonald, Smith and Camp completely Cherries substitutes. Derby, as the Cherries put it out of play down this near side. One change from Saturday. Christie for Shotton at right back. They have Lee Grant in goal. Cyrus Christie, Richard Keogh, Jake Buxton and Craig Forsyth the defenders. A midfield three of Jeff Hendrick, Omar Mascarell and Will Hughes. And Jamie Ward, Chris Martin and Tom Ince are their front three. The bench, Bryson, Dawkins, Lingard, Shotton, Warnock, Darren Bent and goalkeeper Roos. The ball is with Tom Ince on this near side and in his gloves on this chilly Tuesday night here at Dean Court as Jamie Ward tries to nip in the inside right channel. His cross is deflected. An important interception at the near post from Tommy Elphick, away from Chris Martin, and behind on this near side for a Derby throw. John Williams.
Well, this is the worst start we've ever had. We can't pass to one another. Why we didn't get the ball up the pitch from the kick-off, I don't know.
So throw in to Derby on this near side, which Cyrus Christie will take right over towards our right by the corner flag in front of the North Stand, with 1,400 vocal Derby County supporters just to our left. Christie's taking an eternity over this. Eventually he does throw it in. Back there defending was Jan Kermigan inside his own half. Last touch behind off a Derby player.
Well,
goal kick Bournemouth.
Good evening everyone, by the way. Dear me, for what reason we started like that, I'll never know. I mean, usually 2 touches, back through the midfield, back to one of the full-backs, and we go up the pitch down the side. Every game I've seen us play this season, but for some reason or another there, well, everybody who touched the ball gave it away.
Well, just to calm it down, everybody left it to Arter Borich to run all the way over to the corner flag and get, just to take a bit of sting out the first couple of minutes, Willow, which when you're on your own turf and you're top of the league is a funny thing to say, isn't it? And now Borich, for his goal kick, has given it straight back to Derby. And Francis, thankfully, rushes back inside his own half and manages to gather the possession. It's given away again. What's happening here? The Bournemouth think they're in white this evening, as Will Hughes on the edge of the box has it, and now the latest person to try and find a teammate is Sermon. Pugh's caught in possession. Now Daniels will have a go down this near side. He gets it up to halfway, straight to Mascarell, and now it's Will Hughes for Derby, halfway inside the Cherries territory, trying to hold off Arter. Sermon, 25 yards from his own goal, and eventually Andrew Sermon, calmness personified, actually finds a Bournemouth player, and then Francis gives it straight to Forsyth. An unbelievable passage of possession given away, and eventually Tommy Elphick comes across, and I don't know what Eddie Howe must be tearing his hair out over there.
Well, I'm just looking at the clock, 3 minutes 40, and we haven't got out of our half. That's a first.
I reckon Bournemouth have given it away 10 times
Absolutely.
in 3.5 minutes. Absolutely unbelievable. They talk about fast starts. Cherries now defending away to our right in the North Stand half of the field. Kermigan's now lost it inside his own half. Hendrick, important touch in from Sermon. Christie coming forward for Derby from right back, who just a tweak to their usual colours this evening. They normally wear black shorts, all in white, and now eventually Bournemouth are out of their own half, and it's back to Lee Grant, the Derby keeper, all in light grey, who clears up towards halfway. On the head of Simon Francis, who nods it straight through to Richard Keogh, the Derby captain, who will know Callum Wilson, his direct opponent, very well. The two were at Coventry City together. Will Hughes on this near touchline scored one of Derby's 2 goals, of course, in their win over the Cherries in September, when Bournemouth had Lee Camp sent off halfway through the second half. They hung on until 9 minutes from the end, and then Derby won 2-0 as Ritchie tracks back inside his own half, and it goes back to Arter Borich, who gets a bobble and shanks it straight up in the air. Ritchie, right side of the box. He's lost it over the far touchline. I don't
think there's a bobble on that pitch, Chris.
Forsyth into towards the inside left channel. Martin tries to lay it off, and then Francis wins a goal kick. Says Mark Clattenburg away to our right. Well, it's certainly a first 5 minutes that the Bournemouth will want to forget.
Well, they're complaining about the ball, not that old chestnut.
That's why Artur Boruc shanked it, because the ball wasn't inflated properly. Mark Clattenburg almost tokenly compresses the ball, tests it himself, but agrees with Artur Boruc that it needs replacing, so the Cherries will throw on another one of the yellow footballs.
Well, listen, if it does the trick, who cares? Good job, you know, but seen that one done a lot of times.
But it's another one, it's to take the sting out of things, isn't it?
Yes, very much so again. But I mean, now let's get out of our half first thing.
Steve Cook out to this near left-hand side, and Charlie Daniels. Callum Wilson doesn't need to have taken his tracksuit off yet. He hasn't had anything to get involved in, or any hope of getting on the ball. It's back with Cook inside the Cherries half. 5.5 gone. BBC Radio Solent live across the south. Bournemouth derby, first against second in the Championship, separated only by 3 goals worth of goal difference. The two sides level at the top of the table on 57 points. As Francis comes across the field out towards this near side, and now Steve Cook once more as the Cherries try and link some possession football together. Cook closed down by the blonde-haired figure of Will Hughes. Mark Pugh there. Arter goes sliding in, but he's beaten to it by Tom Ince, who's suddenly got a bit of space. Ince 25 yards from goal, shoots low and bounces favourably up into the arms of Artur Boruc.
Yes, again, just a little bit of midfield dispute there, but Ince came out with the ball and he got a bit of a daisy cutter, no problems.
Ball is on the halfway line with Jan Kermigan for the Cherries, who scored, of course, in both of the last 2 matches in which he's started, having knocked Brett Pittman out of the starting 11. Over to the right-hand side, and Simon Francis, who, of course, was a target for Derby back in the summer transfer window. It goes out of play off a Derby player, sort of halfway. And Simon Francis will collect the ball from the Cherries dugout over on the far side.
Well, can we just see if we can get a little bit of possession here and get ourselves in the game?
Francis with a long diagonal ball out to this near side, which is won by a backpedaling Cyrus Christie ahead of Pugh. Pugh and Daniels then try a link up. He's going to run for Sermon, who showed some good speed over 3 yards to get there ahead of Ince, and now they thread Charlie Daniels in behind, pulled back towards Kermigan, smashed away by Forsyth for Derby, and out for a Cherries throw.
Well, that's our first bit of dangerous play, and it was Mark Pugh who just chopped it back. Kermigan and little Matty were there to get a strike if it hadn't been cleared.
7 minutes gone, 0-0. The 1,400 Derby fans all stood up as the throw goes across the top of the box. Pugh's shot goal, which took a touch of a Derby player and then just took the sting out of it, and it looped up to Lee Grant, defending the goal to our left.
Actually, we've got the Derby supporters right next to us now. We gave them the shout for loudest in the league, but they haven't quite got going yet for some reason.
Give them a chance. 7.5 minutes gone. Lee Grant's taken out
the
the box. Well, the linesman's got his flag up. Cherry's going to get a free kick here. Lee Grant threw the ball up in the air, then handled it outside the box. Now, is it simply a free kick? The Cherries are trying to take a quick one before Derby get organised. Referee Clattenburg has stopped play. So Lee Grant went to take a volleyed goal kick out of his hands, threw it up in the air, and then re-caught it outside the penalty area. Cherries fans chant off. Mark Clattenburg is going to have a decision here, Willow.
I don't think he can get sent off.
Well, is it deliberate handball outside the box? Is that how it's viewed? Or does he just give a free kick for accidental handball outside the box?
Dear me.
Another important decision for referee Mark Clattenburg here.
I've seen one of these before many moons ago. Gary Sprake leads, done it at the Cop End in Liverpool.
Well, both captains are there, Elphick for Bournemouth and Keogh of Derby as well. Mark Clattenburg is having a long chat. I reckon yellow card will probably be the decision here.
He's got to be yellow. But
oh, well, I'm saying it's yellow or red, isn't it? But I reckon it will probably be yellow. Mark Clattenburg may go for the sensible option. We've only had 8.5 minutes. Watford, of course, in the last home game had someone sent off after 30 seconds. Now, what's Mark Clattenburg doing here? He's not going to book him or anything. It's just a crossed hand signal saying, don't do it again, Lee.
Well, I'm quite surprised by that. I mean, if we get a goal, that'll be punishment enough, I suppose.
I mean, it's probably the sensible decision, isn't it? Because it's ultimately, it's not the world's most serious infringement. He didn't stop Bournemouth doing anything, did he?
I understand what you're saying. Unless it cost us the league.
If Callum Wilson had been ready to take it away from him, then he grabbed it out of the air ahead of Callum Wilson. That's a bit different. But either way, what Bournemouth do have is a free kick, a yard outside the penalty area from where Grant handled it, just to the left of the D. Bournemouth haven't got near the Derby goal yet, and Lee Grant has literally just handed them an opportunity. In the 9.5 minutes on the clock, as referee Clattenburg pushes the ball back, applies his white vanishing spray onto the turf, and Kermigan is going to try and slam this one into the net. Away to our left to lift the roofs off the stands here at the Gold Sand Stadium and really kick the Cherries off to a flyer in this top of the table clash. Referee Clattenburg's happy. Kermigan isn't, he's still pointing, but now he sets himself. Jan Kermigan is too high. got it all wrong. Great opportunity, poor execution.
Dear, that wasn't the best of free kicks, was it? Miles wide from there. I just think, you know, you've got to, when it's 18 yards out, you've got to at least put your foot through it and get it on target. It can hit anyone, it can deflect. And he's just smashed that one into the crowd.
Well, not a good control of the finish from Jan Kermigan. Disappointing from him, so it remains 0-0. Both sides have got 11. And I think we saw, Willow, there slightly maybe the difference in class between Mark Clattenburg and a lot of the referees we've seen here this season, because there was absolutely no panic, was there?
No.
He took his time just to collect his thoughts, speak to both teams as Keogh barges Wilson and Bournemouth get a free kick inside the Derby half.
Yeah, I thought it should have been a booking, though, Chris.
He might have got a
clanger, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a big clanger that goes in the net.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether that has any complaints from the Cherries later on. 11 minutes gone, 0-0. BBC Radio Solent. Ball's on the far side, the Cherries right now. Arter, who is, as we heard him say just before kick-off, treading that 9 yellow card tightrope. Matt Ritchie manages to kick the ball into himself as Wilson tries to spin away. Right corner of the penalty area, he's away from Buxton. Right cross from Wilson. Jan Kermigan chests it down. Ritchie! What a build-up and what a finish from Matt Ritchie! Wilson this time the provider. Kermigan barrel-chested and Ritchie with a fizzing low finish past Lee Grant. 11.5 minutes gone. The Cherries waste no time. 1-0.
Well, we're talking about it not being a very good start, but that was a fantastic build-up play. Kermigan a little set with his chest. All Matt had to do, well, I say all he had to do was keep it low and hit it into the net, but it still took some doing, but he found it. No problem. A real slow start. Goes a magnificent start after taking the lead. You wouldn't believe it if you see this play in the first 8 minutes or so. Absolutely incredible stuff.
1-0 Bournemouth lead, 12 minutes gone. And for once, I've won a bet, Willow. I backed Matt Ritchie for the first goal. For once, I've won a bet. I'm only minus £10,000 now for the last 10 years. Daniels on the halfway line. That's the start the Cherries wanted with their first shot on goal. Cracking finish from Ritchie. Those are the positions, as Steve Cook nods it back to Artur Boric. Those are the positions that Ritchie gets himself in so well, coming in off that right flank.
What a chest off, though.
Yeah.
He's used it like hitting floorboards, wasn't it? Bang, and down into the floor.
Yeah, great to see Wilson and Kermigan linking up again. We just when they have a few games together, they just start to get a bit of an understanding going. And this time, instead of Kermigan teeing Wilson, it was Wilson to Kermigan and then Ritchie. And here comes Francis forward for the right first time, trying to take on Forsyth, who's very similar to Francis. He's a tall, rangy player who's got some pace and gets up and down the flank. And those two will have a right ding-dong up and down that touchline, I'm sure, throughout the course of the evening. As the Cherries give away a free kick on halfway, Francis on Hendrick. 13 minutes gone, BBC Radio Solent, 1-0 Bournemouth through Matt Ritchie, who goes to 9 for the season. Will Hughes now, halfway inside the Cherries half of the field, as we look away to our right. Remember, Cherries unchanged tonight, if you're joining us late. Derby one change, Christie for Shotton at right fullback. Any goal news from Dagenham and Pompey and Southport Eastleigh will bring you, as well as a big night in the Championship. The key game, probably as far as the Cherries are concerned, is Watford-Brentford, as a free kick is given away on the far side by Chris Martin.
He's going to book him for that, surely.
Well,
he's nearly pulled the shirt off him.
Well, it was Matt Ritchie who Chris Martin pulled back. And Chris Martin, I think, Willow, has pulled up here and he's going to have to be replaced. Now, personally, I'm not too disappointed about that because he scored in both the last 2 games against the Cherries. And Chris Martin is going to have to go off.
OK. You can see his judgment call on that. You know, he stopped one for the team, even if it meant he was going off.
So Darren Bent, with 13 England caps to his name, is on. That's 19 goals. Derby's top scorer, who's just gone off down the tunnel, Willow, after 14 minutes.
Well, we spoke at the weekend and since about keeping your best players fit, Chris, and suspensions.
Well, it's a cold night. I don't know if he's just pinged something there as he chased back as Keogh clears under pressure from Wilson down this near side. So Darren Bent, I mean, let's not say the game's won by Chris Martin going off, but Darren Bent hasn't had a whole lot of football recently. He's been on loan at Brighton, of course, very briefly. And he's just joined Derby in the January window. What a player to be able to bring in as the Cherries look down this left-hand side for Wilson. Keogh off balance, slides it down the touchline where Steve Cook jumps with Darren Bent, 2 former Brighton men together there. And now it's Forsyth, the Scotsman, on the halfway line. Forward it comes to Jamie Ward, and back is Derby Place in possession of football inside their own half. Keogh forward to Hughes on this near side. We've hit the quarter hour in the Championship. Cherries one up through Matt Ritchie. Daniels has nicked it away from Mascarell. Ince is there as well. It's cleared up to halfway. Mascarell once more gets a foot in, and Christie goes back to the Derby keeper, Lee Grant.
Yes, well, both keepers not looking the greatest with the ball at their feet at the moment.
Bent jumps on the halfway line, and it's out off the head of Bent for a throw into the Cherries. Wolves have scored at Huddersfield. That's the first goal elsewhere through Nua Dicko in that game. Huddersfield, of course, the visitors here to Dean Court on Saturday. Cherries tanned them 4-0 on the opening day of the season. They'll be hoping for a repeat performance as the ball goes back to Artur Boric in the Cherries goal, away to our right. Good interview with him in the Cherries programme this evening, by the way. He doesn't do many interviews. We've asked numerous times. He doesn't like doing the media particularly, but he did an interview with the club, which amongst other things, he talks about the importance of winning a 60th Poland cap to get himself in the Poland Hall of Fame, something he promised his late father before he died, and a few other interesting little bits and bobs from Artur Boric as Hendrick runs forward for Derby. Over on the left-hand side, Sermon tracks him all the way. Now out to Jamie Ward, left side of the Bournemouth penalty area. Tries to take on Francis round the outside. That'll be a corner to Derby as it runs behind off Simon Francis's heel.
Yes, it was just clipped off Simon now. This is a test for us, a set play. We've got to get these right. This is a big part of the, not just this evening, but for the rest of the season.
Well, Chris Martin, one of the chief aerial threats, has just gone off, but keep an eye on Buxton and Keogh, the two centre-halves, and Darren Bent as well, as Mascarell prepares to deliver this corner from the far side. Whipped into the near post towards Buxton. Really good header away. I think it was Kermorgant at the near post who got it away.
Great header, really firm and got distance on it.
Derby loft it forward down the left-hand side, where Mascarell has stayed forward over on that left flank. It's going to go out of play, and it's going to be a throw into Derby level with the Bournemouth penalty area. Cherries leading 1-0. And it's back towards the halfway line from the Derby throw. And they try and work it through the centre of midfield now as Will Hughes comes forward, and Artur shadows in, but Will Hughes shoots, and Boric has gone down, and the flag would have gone up anyway. Boric spilt the initial cross. He managed to hack it away with his feet from a prone position, but the flag had already gone up against Darren Bent, so no alarms.
Yeah, it just shows you though, doesn't it? You know, these pitches are really firm now. Didn't seem an awful lot in that shot in particular, but it's just come off the turf. Boric couldn't hold it.
So Cherries free kick inside their own penalty area as Boric clears. One of the other interesting things that Artur Boric says as the flag goes up against Jan Kermorgant, by the way, was that talk of maybe if the Cherries got promoted, he said if this club goes to the Premier League, why wouldn't I want to stay? Whereas a lot of people thought it might just be this season and out for Artur Boric, but he puts on record that if the Cherries go up, he would certainly be interested in staying. But there's a few hurdles to cross between now and then.
Yeah, there is, but making all the right noises.
The ball's with Mascarell in the centre of the Derby midfield, who, just to emphasise the power of the squad, is on loan from Real Madrid, by the way. Omar Mascarell in the centre of the midfield, born in Spain, but a native of Equatorial Guinea is Mascarell, as it's cleared by Lee Grant up over halfway, where Darren Bent again climbs majestically above Tommy Elphick, and the ball's on halfway with Jamie Ward over on the left-hand side. Cherries lead 1-0 against their closest rivals Derby, who are in FA Cup action on Saturday, so the Cherries would have a chance to open up another gap or recover the gap or whatever it may be come 10 o'clock tonight. Derby at home to Reading in the FA Cup at the weekend, while the Cherries have Huddersfield in the league. Forward comes Christie down this near side of Derby right, but his ball looking for Tom Ince is overhit, and Artur Boric will allow that, or in fact he'll run across and grab it by the corner flag.
Well, I think you never thought I'd say it, but kind of glad that we're out of the FA Cup. You know, it's happened and we've just got to get on with it. But
I did expect Derby to win that against Reading, so that's going to go on for them as well.
You would hope so, wouldn't you?
You would, absolutely. 19 gone. BBC Radio Solar as Wilson, they try and put him away up against Keogh. Keogh's got the header wrong. Wilson likes to loft it over Lee Grant, but got that all wrong as well. Great opportunity. Keogh's header was woefully undercooked. Wilson saw Lee Grant about 8 yards off his line, tried to lift it over him first time as the ball sat up, but it just skewed off his foot and went well wide in the end.
Well, it was the right one to try, there's no doubt about that. The keeper had advanced. There was enough gap between him and the goal just to lob it over, but it just shows you the centre-halves again thinking about what's behind them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such a mess of that header. Quite an easy header to head back, surely.
Well, Richard Keogh, in his pre-match interview ahead of this game, was telling us all about how, telling us, but telling the media all about Callum Wilson's strengths. knowing him from a young academy striker at Coventry, well, he would have known that Wilson would have been quick enough to get onto that back header, as the Irishman got it horribly wrong. But it's out for a Derby throw on the far side. Sunderland 0, QPR 1 is an early goal in the Premier League. Leroy Fer, long trip for Rangers on a Tuesday night to the northeast, having got poleaxed by Saints in the final minute at Loftus Road, of course. Saints in action tomorrow at home to West Ham. Myself and Adam will be swapping underpants. He'll be commentating, I'll be presenting tomorrow, as Derby win a free kick that the Cherries fans disagree with, just over halfway. Tom Ince has it, attacking edge of the centre circle for Derby, who trail Bournemouth by Matt Ritchie's 12th minute goal. Cyrus Christie on this near right side. Plenty of space so far in the game in this first 20 minutes for Will Hughes, who looks for Darren Bent, who's onside. Volleyed it first time as it came over his shoulder. No lack of skill in that, but Boric wasn't going to let it beat him at the near post.
No, it was a decent ball, but it was a concern how he drifted in behind Cookie, I think it was. Left-footed in-swinger coming up.
Well, he did well to get it on target there, Darren Bent. Tom Ince with the Derby corner on this right-hand side as we hit the 21-minute mark. Ince's corner, headed away at the near post. Kermagant once more in there with an important touch, and Wilson pushes over Will Hughes, and Derby are given a free kick left of centre about 40 yards out.
Well, I don't know if he's made a meal of that or he got a little shove. They're making a meal of it now. Yeah,
it's something we've picked Wilson up on, isn't it? Just a few needless free kicks he gives away. I think that was a free kick. I think referee Clattenburg got that right. He was here, of course, Mark Clattenburg, for the Liverpool FA Cup tie before Christmas. He actually did West Ham Man United on Sunday, only 2 days ago. So you do have to be fit to be a ref at the top level. Sent off Luke Shaw, of course. Elsewhere, Charlton 0, Norwich 1. Norwich looking to clamber themselves back into the top 6 through Jonathan Howson. Cherries are done with Norwich this season. Only 1 point out of 6 against the Canaries. As Derby tee up this free kick, which Mascarell is going to take. Clips it into the left side of the box. The header right back across. An important header away from Arter. Hughes steps aside, tries to shoot, blocked. And it's going to run out, is it, on this near side. Pugh is there, in fact, to prevent the corner. And Pugh will bring it away, or in fact is then penned in by Darren Bent. And Mark Pugh cannons it behind off Darren Bent. And it's a corner, but again, the delivery of the set pieces, Willow, is of high quality.
Well, it was, and I'm a little bit concerned about how easy they've got in on 2 occasions, to be quite honest. I know we've got 4 in the wall and it's difficult to mark everyone, but it shouldn't have been that easy.
Darren Bent putting pressure on Steve Cook as the Cherries try and play it out from the back. Keogh's header will fall for Callum Wilson. In fact, Buxton was slightly quicker off the mark, and Charlie Daniels ushers it out of play ahead of Tom Ince, and it will be a Bournemouth throw in halfway inside their own half. We're halfway through this first half on BBC Radio Solent. It's Bournemouth 1, Derby County 0. First against second in the Championship. Derby have won all 4 games since an agonising last-minute defeat in a local derby at home to Nottingham Forest, which is where I was getting a stick for cheering the Forest winner in the press room at Rotherham, I think. Willow, people were... Neil Perrott, the Echo, was giving me some stick on Twitter for that, surprisingly. But they've reacted well, Derby, since that, winning all 4. 8 wins in the last 9 games, save for that Forest defeat, Derby. So that's the sort of form that's got them back to second in the table after their little wobble, maybe 2 or 3 games without a win back towards Christmas. Bournemouth, don't forget, have been top since the 13th of December when they knocked Derby off the top of the table after the 5-3 win against Cardiff. Ritchie, the goal scorer now, just over halfway. Early first-time ball out to Mark Pugh on this near left side. 25 yards from the Derby goal as we look away towards the Ted McDougall end of the ground. A poor ball from Pugh, though, is cut out by a combination of Ince and Hughes. Hendrick then rather puts Keogh in a little bit of a tight spot, but the Derby captain does well, and now Christie with one of those long white skin-tight warmth layers under his white Derby shirt. And now it's Buxton, shaven-headed, bearded figure. He's a beast of a centre-half, Jake Buxton. He brings it away.
Yes, he looks quite old from where I'm sitting, Chris.
The ball's played up to Darren Bent. We'll come back to that edge of the penalty area. Laid off for Hendrick now in the centre of the midfield. Hull 1, Aston Villa 0 in the Premier League. At the KC Stadium. Ipswich 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Kieran Lee. Ipswich have gone, haven't they, in the last few games. Christie, right side for Derby. Low cross, cleared at the near post by Cook for Bournemouth. Only as far as Jamie Ward. Sermon beats him in the air, but the loose ball again finds Will Hughes. Hughes goes to ground, wanted a free kick, didn't get it from referee Clattenburg, and now it's Sermon to halfway. Plays it short for Wilson, he tries a little tip and go around the corner. Intercepted by Keogh, and now Hendrick on the centre spot for Derby. It's a to and fro game, as you'd expect, Willow, from end to end.
Well, it certainly is. Just at the moment, either team looks like they could just break through. There's no regimented passing. It's all pretty scatty at the moment to me.
Yeah, you'd say the possession has been 50-50, but importantly Bournemouth have got the goal.
Yeah, perhaps that's calmed us down quite considerably, maybe.
Yeah, another fast start from the Cherries here at Dean Court. As I mentioned earlier on, pre-kick-off, Cherries' record against the current top 6 this season, 9 points out of 18. Only Derby have beaten Bournemouth out of the teams currently residing in the top 6, but they've got Brentford and Middlesbrough to come in the coming weeks. 25 gone, 1-0 Bournemouth. Here's Derby's lone whiz kid, Tom Ince, down this near right-hand side. Oh, that's, I say whiz kid, and then he gives the ball straight to Charlie Daniels on this near touchline. Daniels now trying to shield the ball from Ince, and then Daniels looking in field, but cut out by Mascarell. Maybe slightly needless from Daniels to give it away there. Hendrick then, equally trying to do some sort of Cruyff flick, and it's back to Bournemouth. Wilson then trying to set himself. Unfortunately given away to Mascarell. Wilson, interestingly, was balked off the ball by Buxton there, who just stepped across and blocked his run. Advantage played as Arter was clipped, and now it's on the centre spot again, and the Cherries build it on the right.
I think the Leeds player shouted over it.
It's Derby, by the way.
Oh,
here we go again. Here we go again.
The Derby player absolutely shouted a name. I've seen it done loads of times where they shout over it.
Yeah.
And well, if the referee can't pick it up, he'll get away with it.
Ball on the far side is out for a throw-in. 26 minutes gone here on BBC Radio Stolen. Eddie Howe going to fetch the ball for Derby. Takes it back inside there.
Just thinking back to that goal, it's some goal, some build-up, excellent stuff. And like I say, Kermigan's chest down is something to be seen.
The finish from Ritchie, the sort of style and the execution reminded me of his winner at Wolves, Willow, when he ran onto it, left-footed, kept it down really well.
Once it's the ground hard and firm, they've got no chance keepers.
Ince goes back towards his centre-half duo again, Richard Keogh, and forward he comes now down this right-hand side. That's poor from the Irishman. Keogh given straight to Daniels. Now it's Pugh via Kermigan on the left-hand side. Pugh hasn't had a chance to really run at Christie yet, his full-back. The Cherries pinging it around on halfway. Daniels and Pugh link up once more. Here's Daniels for the Cherries, 25 yards out. Might go to the edge of the box himself. Finds Kermigan, back to Daniels. Good covering in the end in the penalty area from Buxton, given away by Derby. Pugh left corner, Wilson trying to spin and turn. Can he get a shot away? Wilson square, Ritchie drills one, blocked by Forsyth. Cherries throw far side.
Oh, good build-up play. Nice fast beat by Mark Pugh, taking the throw in quickly.
Cherries working over to the right-hand side, and it's Francis now trying to find a room to cross. He's up against Forsyth once more, over in that far corner of the ground underneath the scoreboard, and it's off Hughes and out for a Cherries throw.
There's a couple of little sliding passes that have been worked on the training ground there that didn't quite come off.
28 minutes gone. Bournemouth 1, Derby 0. Still no goals between Dagenham and Pompey in League 2 on digital radio and medium wave, or Southport Eastleigh online. Saints West Ham in the Premier League tomorrow night. Live with us from 7:05. Here's Steve Cook halfway inside the Derby half now for Bournemouth. Looks to his right and sees space for once more the goal scorer Matt Ritchie. Francis outside him, but Ritchie ignores him, then brings him in late, and then the ball in fact is slightly overhit, and Francis has to head over towards the corner flag. The cross towards Wilson, header goalwards, just too high. Don't see Callum Wilson soaring and flicking many headers goalwards, but that was a good climb, but couldn't keep it down.
No, it was a fine build-up again, and Francis just clipped it up. It was a little bit too far out of his reach, but not a bad attempt.
The linesman on this near side, Jake Collin, was just doing some stretching, which actually his legs bouncing up and down were in time with the Cherries singing of AFCB, Ali Ali Ali, or amongst other things. Arsenal 1, Leicester 0. Laurent Koscielny has got that goal. Nigel Pearson's had a quiet week, hasn't he? That continues at the Emirates, the former Southampton manager, as Cherries give away a free kick. Sermon penalised this time just on the halfway line. Taken short by Hughes.
Well, I don't know. Hughes is another one who goes down a bit too easy for me, but on that occasion, perhaps he was right.
29 minutes gone. 1-0 to the Cherries here. And the Ipswich behind elsewhere. Watford against Brentford. That's at Griffin Park, I should say. That's Brentford-Watford. The other way round. It's 4th against 6th, that one. Middlesbrough this evening. They've got what looks like a banker away at rock bottom Blackpool this evening, but funny things happen on funny pitches. Wilson, right side for Bournemouth here. Ritchie holds it up. Over on the right-hand side, bit of space for Kermigan now. 25 yards from goal. Goes backwards to Sermon. Sermon back in field to Kermigan once more as the Cherries retreat towards halfway to build once more. And then Arter puts it in the corner for Pugh to chase, but Cyrus Christie will deal with that. Well, he would have done. Then he slipped over Christie and did quite well to get it down the touchline and find Will Hughes.
Well, they got a chance on the break here, Leeds.
Darren Bent trying to show his pace against Steve Cook, and Bent has got the better of the challenge with Steve Cook. Hendrick wants it in the middle, Bent pulls it back, Tom Ince, lovely first touch, Ince equalises. Darren Bent shrugs Steve Cook off, Ince picks it up in the penalty area, drop of the shoulder, beat a man, beat Boric, half an hour gone, 1-1.
Well, you have to say, Cookie has found himself in that position before. Very difficult to get the ball back to the goalkeeper when you're under pressure from Ben, but that's what he tried to do. Sometimes it's just going to go in the stand, and I've seen that happen on an occasion here before with Cookie, so not a good one for us to concede.
No, Steve Cook was trying to play it back to Boric, but just I think his attempted back pass either hit Darren Bent, or Darren Bent just won the strength battle. And Derby, I mean, you've got to give Tom Ince a bit of credit there, because he could have hit it first time, but the little drop of the shoulder opened up for him, and a fine finish.
Yeah, it's a great finish, no doubt about that, but it's self-inflicted.
So frustrating for the Cherries, having got themselves the early goal and got in front. 14 minutes until half-time. Cherries 1, Derby 1 here at the Goldstand Stadium, under the lights in front of the packed house, and it's the 1,400 supporters from the East Midlands now, away to our left, who are cranking up the volume. Here's Kermagant for Bournemouth now, halfway inside Derby territory, out to Ritchie. Can the Cherries fight back immediately? Ritchie over on the far side, 5 yards from the corner flag, brings in Arter, who gets it onto his left foot. Now Sermon. Cherries are halfway inside Derby territory as Sermon looks for the right ball. It was Forsyth who was a bit hungrier than Ritchie and came sliding through to win it, but now Bournemouth back on halfway again. Cook out to Pugh, who we haven't really seen a whole lot of in the final third yet, Mark Pugh, getting past the full-back and getting crosses in.
I don't think he can run the right back, Chris. That's why I think he's got a real challenge on here this evening. He'll have to pass his way around him. Liverpool
1, Spurs 0. Markovic, who scored here in the League Cup, has scored for Liverpool. 13 minutes to the break. Now here's Pugh trying to take on Cyrus Christie. Pugh to the byline, left-footed cross. Kermagant running onto it. Good flick header away by Forsyth for Derby at the back post. Did really well under pressure. Only as far as Ritchie. Tried to play it into Francis. It was read though and brought away by Forsyth down the left.
Yes, he's just nearly squeezed that one through, little Matt, but didn't quite come off. Good work again though. Mark Pugh proved me wrong in a way. Took the full back on almost immediately. Yeah, got a good cross in.
Did him for skill rather than pace, didn't he? So you were still half right. 12.5 minutes gone. The voice to go to half-time. The voice alongside me, of course, the former Cherries coach and defender, John Williams, with us here on BBC Radio Solid every single week. A member of the title-winning squad back in 86-87. Incidentally, the last time the Cherries won at Wigan, as we mentioned at the weekend, as they did the Cherries. And Buxton is there ahead of Wilson. Francis ducks under it. It goes out of play. Jason Tyndall pings it back like a pinball machine. Straight back to Simon Francis to take the throw-in. Over on the far side, the Derby, the Cherries right. Well, remember Derby, shorn of their top scorer Chris Martin inside the first quarter hour, going off injured, but Darren Bent, his replacement, making the goal for his fellow January window signing Tom Ince, as Pugh wins a free kick for a challenge by Cyrus Christie right down in front of us, halfway inside the Derby half.
Yep, there's a chance to... No, we're going to play.
Short from Daniels to Cook, who exchanged 5-yard passes, and now it's Arter in a bit of space. Cherries haven't quite got a grip on the midfield yet, Arter and Sermon, and now that, just to emphasise that, it's given away, and now it's Darren Bent running at a combination of Elphick and Cook, but he just turns sideways to look for men in white to support him. He finds the gloved figure of Tom Ince. Back it goes to Hughes, edge of the penalty area. Now Hendrick, 25 yards out, dead centre. Ince spreads it left to some space and Forsyth. Forsyth's early cross towards Ward. Powerful header away by the Cherries captain Elphick. Back it comes in, that hits Ward. Nearly runs fortuitously for him, but Francis and now Ritchie bring it away. Ritchie up to Wilson on halfway. Buxton pushes in, that's a clear free kick from Jake Buxton.
Well, that's the third time he's gone through Callum like that. Persistent foul and springs to mind. You can't just let the centre forward keeps getting booted.
Well, that is Callum Wilson's lot, isn't it? In terms of game by game. He gets booted, he gets pulled, he gets pushed, he keeps getting up.
Yeah, but there's only so much in fairness you can take.
10 minutes till half-time. 1-1, Cherries Derby. Ritchie for the Cherries on 12. Tom Ince on the half hour, equalising for Derby. An entertaining game, if still maybe slightly cagey so far. Francis over on the right-hand side. There's been some expansive football, but there's been a few nerves and a few misplaced passes as well. And Sermon comes over to this near left-hand side for the Cherries now as they kick from right to left in their usual red and black. Kermigan now tries to thread it down the left side, but Daniels is beaten to it by Ince, and now Keogh will clear. Again, not particularly convincing from Richard Keogh, but it finds its way to Bent. Sermon with a toe-in on Hendrick, then Pugh concedes a throw-in off Ince right down in front of us.
Clever little touch of the ball there from Tom Ince onto Mark Pugh's shin and just out for the throw-in.
Well, these two sides met back in September. Cherries were 14th, Derby were 6th, which emphasises what a last 4 months or so the pair have had. Derby, of course, finished 3rd last season, beaten in the playoff final by Harry Redknapp's QPR by that single Bobby Zamora goal. As the ball comes forward towards Wilson once more, who can't control it under pressure in Buxton. It's with Sermon in the centre circle. Adam's here with your half-time texts and tweets, of course. Get your verdicts in at Solent Sport on Twitter, 81333. Start your message with the word Solent if you are texting us, as Arter plays a slightly risky ball across halfway. And now it's Steve Cook over on this near left-hand side. Pugh for Bournemouth, who turns away from Christie. Out to Cook once more under this near side. Cherries are playing football under close pressing from the Derby players, Willow.
Yeah, still managing to get some passes in. There's still good build-up here. Jan is the one. Don't give it away, Jan. He's done it on 3 or 4 occasions at the moment.
Cherries have probably all been guilty individually, I think, so far of giving the ball away.
There's nobody been always a chance here.
Francis with a knockdown. Ritchie, they stand off. His shot low, well wide in the end, 5 yards wide. But Francis and Ritchie combined, and Francis wanted the return ball from Matt Ritchie.
He's right. I mean, we're not going to have a go because we want the players to shoot. But Simon Francis, I think if he slides it in, he can shoot a goal or drop one across the 6-yard box, no problem there.
So we played 37 minutes here at the Goldstone Stadium. Bournemouth 1, Derby 1. 0-0 Dagenham Pompey, 0-0 Southport Eastleigh. Only took Ian Wilding about 111 hours to get to Eastleigh, to get to Southport via the M6. That's a rearranged game, by the way. I'm pretty sure that's not a regular bit of conference scheduling. I think that's an extra game. As the ball down the left-hand side now with Derby's Jamie Ward. Left corner of the penalty area, up against Matt Ritchie, who's about the same height and stature. Hughes running onto it on the edge of the area. He was well closed down by Sermon, who realised all of a sudden that Will Hughes had 10 yards of space. It's a Derby corner.
Well, it's a ploy we've used in the past with Matt Ritchie, you know, just lining the ball up along the edge of the box, and he comes in and kills one, but we've blocked that one out.
The space Will Hughes has been getting would be the midfield concern, I think, Will.
We'll just see this corner through and talk about it, because there's a bit of a dogfight going on in there.
Mascarell with the corner for Derby. From the left, right under the crossbar. Boritz takes command and grabs it. Looks for the quick option. Rolls it out to Pugh on this near side. The Cherries left up to halfway. His path is blocked by Tom Ince. Infield it goes to Daniels, who's temporarily in central midfield, and Daniels has given it away, and the on-rushing Jamie Ward down the left-hand side has got Francis trying to hold him up, and Francis bails Daniels out.
Yes, just a bit scruffy with that pass there. We've got to be careful. It was a good place to have possession as well. We could have got down this left-hand side if possible.
6.5 minutes until the interval here on BBC Radio Solent. Ball over on the far side. The Derby left, level, or rather halfway inside the Cherries half. The crowd are still doing their best. Just had the stuffing knocked out of them slightly by Tom Ince's equalised. And now it's over with Jamie Ward on the left-hand side, who's trying to shield the ball from Francis. Somehow he squirted it out to Forsyth. Now it's Will Hughes. Kermigan back there doing the defending for Bournemouth, but still Derby have possession. Ward again has got Francis for company. It cannons behind off Francis, and Derby have won their 4th corner of the evening to Bournemouth 0 so far.
It's a war of wills in the midfield. Sometimes Hughes isn't tracking Harry Arter or Sermon when they go forward, so he's cheating in a way. But anyway, right-footed in-swinger.
6 minutes until the break. Once more it will be the man from Real Madrid, Omar Mascarell, who will deliver this one from the top right corner of the ground. Referee Clattenburg having a good look at the tussle between Keogh and Elphick at the back post, which was a physical one. Nodded back into the edge of the box. There's a Derby player on the ground, and now Wilson with a chance to break out. He's on his own, surrounded by 6 men in white. Pugh to his left. Wilson needs an option, looks to his right. Wilson somehow runs through 2. Ritchie keeps it alive. Early ball spread right to Kermigan, who keeps it in. 5 yards from the corner flag. Kermigan's first time cross. Cannon's behind in the end, and it will be a throw-in over on the far touchline as Christie put it out.
Well, it's a great break by Callum. He seemed to be coming off the ropes, bouncing off people as he was going forward.
Cherries, though, have wasted possession from the throw-in, and now a chance for Will Hughes, short of halfway, to bring it out. Switches it to this near side, and Tom Ince. Last 5 minutes of the first half here at the Gold Sands. 1-1. Christie on the overlap from right full-back here for Derby, up against Mark Pugh, approaching the right corner of the Bournemouth area. Christie's ball in, Darren Bent with the header. Corner, says Mark Clattenburg. Last touch came off Tommy Elphick. North Stand disagree. Referee was adamant.
Yeah, Tommy's not having too much of a go, so I think it must just have clipped his ear. Another dangerous little moment to endure.
Bolton 0, Fulham 1. Sean Hutchinson has scored in that game. Bolton were beaten 4-1 by Derby at the weekend. Goalless in quite a few other games in the Championship. The only goals so far: Charlton 0, Norwich 1, Huddersfield 0, Wolves 1, and Ipswich 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. 2 goals here, 1 apiece between Bournemouth in first and Derby in second, as Derby take a short corner. 4 minutes till half-time. In towards the near post. Boric didn't really convince with his goalkeeping the first time, just sort of patted it down straight back into trouble, and then he's thrown it straight out to Derby. An attempted shot on goal towards the Cherries keeper was distinctly ambitious from Ward, but almost caused him a problem.
Dear me, I think he just needs to go steady at Boric. Nobody really could get on the end of that throw. There was more white shirts round it than anything else.
He has had a rather excitable first 41 minutes, Artur Boric. Maybe we shouldn't let him do any more programme interviews in the future, I don't think, as Kermigan is penalised for some shirt pulling in the Derby half of the field.
Yeah, the 1 or 2 instances with his feet as well haven't been as good as normal.
No, that wasn't, as we say. He's normally pretty commanding in the 6-yard box, but the previous corner, he just sort of, he didn't catch it, he didn't punch it, he just sort of patted it down, didn't he? Was it patter cake? As the ball comes forward, as I've mentioned, Dave Merrington's usual quote in these situations, Pansy Potter. He's a bit like that, as the Cherries are Pansy Potter, and now it's Jeff Hendrick through the middle, trying to find Darren Bent. Cook does well, Daniels under pressure clears, and Bournemouth have managed to wriggle out of that tight spot. And now it's Sermon up towards the halfway line. 3 minutes until the break, 1-1. Callum Wilson now, near side, trying to run at Keogh. His old Coventry teammate Cyrus Christie just barges him over, and that'll be a free kick to the Cherries.
Well, they're trying to take it quickly, and Tom Ince is not letting that happen.
Arsenal 2, Leicester 0. Theo Walcott, as Sermon goes backwards inside the Cherries half. Liverpool 1, Tottenham 1. The man of the moment, Harold Kane, has got that goal. Did Danny Murphy really say on Match of the Day on Saturday night, build an England team around Harry Kane? That's a fast emergence, isn't it, from unknown Premier League player at the start of the season to England's centrepiece, but I think he may have said that. The ball's over on the far side, Tommy Elphick.
Not a lot of people know that.
What's that? The ball's back with Boric.
Stay with me.
Away to our right. And the Cherries, I think, they'll be a bit thready how to discuss at half-time. Derby do play a 4-3-3 formation, which means they're set up differently to Bournemouth, which has created a few pockets of space here and there. Will Hughes has been a roaming pest. Darren Bent is an obvious talent still, despite the fact he's been rotting in Aston Villa's, the fact he's been in Aston Villa's reserve says a lot, doesn't it? Aston Villa's first team.
Well,
haven't exactly been.
Somebody hadn't come along and took him miles before today.
I think his wages might be an issue, but Aston Villa's reserves must be the worst team in the world if the first team are playing as badly as they are. Cherries down the far side now with Kermigan. He's not going to catch that, I don't think, ahead of Buxton, who in fact Buxton has given it straight to Wilson. Pugh wants it edge of the area. Wilson might go himself. Oh, what a finish from Callum Wilson! It was a hopeless cause, you thought. Kermigan chased it, Buxton got himself in a right tangle, and when it came back to Wilson, you thought surely he's got too much to do. He smashed it with his right foot, past Grant, and into the top left corner for one of the goals of the midweek for sure.
Well, you have to give Kermigan big credit here, because he chased one down that really had no chance of getting, we didn't feel, but he got his foot wrapped back. As it came to Callum, he still had loads to do. it looked an impossible angle from where we're sitting, but I think the Pacers just took it past the keeper and into the top corner.
Wow, that absolutely arrowed past Lee Grant. It's one of those where you thought there's nothing else on, so just have a go. And even if it ends up in the stand, have a go. I can't believe it found the top corner from there. That is a man in form, Callum Wilson, 18 for the season now. 2-1 Bournemouth lead, and again, let's wheel it out. What a time to score.
Absolutely incredible, and you know, that just shows what confidence the boy has at the moment. You don't score that sort of goal if you're not absolutely bombing.
Well, again, it shouldn't be overlooked as Cherries hook it out of play on the far side. 2 goals for the Cherries tonight, 2 assists for Jan Kermigans. 2 assists for him on Saturday as well. 2 minutes added on the fourth officials board, says Dean Whitestone, the man with the board. 8-1 treble 3 on text for your verdict to Adam. Solent the first word. Solent Sport on Twitter is the place to go as well. I'm sure you'll have a verdict as the ball is out on this near side now with Will Hughes. Cherries just need to get the back door bolted. As Wilson now might have a chance. He's got away from his man. He's going to go out wide left. The Cherries can't keep pace themselves with him. Wilson left side of the penalty area. Derby have got 6 back. Comes to Arthur edge of the box. Helps it on. Ritchie volleys it straight at Lee Grant. Well, that would have been a real sucker blow before half time.
Dear me, well, you have to say, Derby look rattled. Just the last few moments, 5 or 6 minutes. We've got right at them.
Well, Wilson again, it was just a little as Lee Grant volleys it straight out of play. The Cherries won't mind that. A minute left of added time. Wilson, it was a little toe past the defender which opened everything up, got Derby backpedaling, and then Ritchie, it just sat nicely for him, didn't it? But it was just too straight.
Well, +2 on the clock to go.
Well, 45 seconds of those 2 left as Wilson again bouncing around inside the Derby half of the field. Christie back to Keogh. The Derby players don't seem to want the ball at the back all of a sudden, do they?
It's
hot potato.
You have it, I'll have it.
The hot potato at the back for Derby as Wilson thought he was offside. Derby waited for a flag from Simon Beck, the assistant, that didn't come, and then Simon Beck does find his flag to give the Cherries a free kick. Last attack of the half.
Well,
free kick right.
Put it in the box. There's only going to be seconds left.
Yeah, Ritchie's Eddie Howe's telling Matt Ritchie to get up because the Cherries have got 10 seconds on the watch to take this restart. It's out on the right, halfway inside the Derby half, but it is a free throw of the dice because I don't think Derby will have time to go at the other end.
This is one of them situations where 2-1's magnificent, 3 will be incredible.
2-2 though is a bad result. The time is up, so we're in Martin Clattenburg's hands now as Ritchie, having recovered his composure and his fitness, will try and deliver this one in towards the edge of the penalty area. Cherries have only got 4 men on the edge of the box, so they're not exactly throwing everything at this. As Ritchie delivers it, headed away comfortably, well, straight up in the air from Forsyth. But that is the end of the half, and the Cherries fans, hot chocolate, Bovril, soup, wine, beer, whatever it is they'll be drinking at half-time, will taste very sweet, reflecting on that finish from Callum Wilson, which has given them a 2-1 half-time advantage. Wilson had a hand in the first goal, his run down the right and cross, a barrel-chested layoff from Kermigans.